Hi everyone, welcome back to Student Voice. My name is Filippo. Today we are going to talk about digital economy. During the history of man, different inventions have changed the everyday life of the people. The historians tend to divide four different periods. The first industrial revolution passed from manual production to the use of steam-powered engines and water as a source of power. The second one with the use of iron, steel, and finally the electrification. The third one, often called digital revolution, characterized by the huge development in computers and information and communication technology. Nowadays, we are through the fourth industrial revolution. This revolution is, however, fundamentally different. It's characterized by a range of new technologies that are fusing the psychological, digital, and biological worlds, impacting all disciplines, economies, and industries, and even challenging ideas about what it means to be a human. We live in a world where everything is connected. I can be even connected to the people that are in the other part of the planet. The same change is not only in the private life, but also in the industry, where it's more accurate to talk about Industry 4.0, where machines can communicate with each other and with the manufacturers to create what we now call a cyber-psychological production system. Technology changed our life across various aspects, like transport, communication, and entertainment. Progress in these technologies has created new jobs, while leaving some jobs irrelevant. The digital technology is creating two different kinds of polarization, one economical and one in the skills and qualification. Thanks to digital technologies, the products and the services are now widely distributed among all the masses. Why should I shop from a marketplace that is almost good as Amazon when I can shop from Amazon itself? Why I would use a messaging app like WhatsApp when I can use WhatsApp instead? New skills at the same time are required, and the skills required are changing every day. As in the research of Accenture, the 65% of children starting school will hold jobs that don't exist yet. The manual skills are disappearing, replaced by automatization. Services are gaining more and more importance. For example, we could think about CDs and DVDs that became completely replaced by services such as Spotify and Netflix. Another big change is in the importance of data, considered the fuel of the current economy, created by millions of people using social network or digital cameras, by businesses connecting employees, suppliers, and customers through their digital platform, and by millions of sensor-connected objectives and communication devices sending and receiving data over the internet. In front of all these changes, it's not correct to talk about normal economy yet. We should talk about digital economy. I want to understand now how these two economies are completely different, and for this I call two different people that are protagonists of the digital economy. At the beginning, I want to talk with Matteo, a guy that works as a rider for Just Eat, one of the most popular food delivery companies in Italy. How these new jobs are totally different from the one in the past, without real working hour and at the same time without real working place. And understand why so much people work for this company and accept a low wage and most of the time very low rights. And then I want to talk with Luca, a guy who created his own company for e-commerce, linking his big passion to the world of art to a possible job. It's interesting to understand how, with the advent of internet and the digital economy, it's possible to create a new business like never in the past, without a very low capital or, like in a lot of the cases, without even a capital. Okay, as I said in the introduction, I want to understand how the digital economy is totally different from the traditional economy. The actual life of every one of us is different, and we can do things that the people in the past can't even imagine. For example, let's think about the food. Let's suppose that we come home after a long day of school or working, and we are so tired even to cook. It happened at every one of us, I think, at least at one time in our life. But we can easily use the application of our phone to have everything that we want. A pizza, an hamburger, a Chinese food, a sushi, everything. This company as Uber Eats, Foodora, Just Eat, I think that represent the perfect example of the company in the era of the digital economy. New company that radically changed the way of thinking about job. As I told in the introduction, today I'm going to talk with Matteo. He is actually in Italy and he's gently accepted to be interviewed. Matteo, thank you for joining us today. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. Thank you to invite me.
First of all, I want to say you thanks to give me the possibility to interview you.
No problem. I'm pleased to help you.
So, talk me a little bit about you. What do you do in your life?
Yeah, sure. I'm a student in a public university in Varese, a city near Milan. I'm actually studying economy.
Matteo, I have called you because I know that you have worked for a long period as a rider for one of the most famous company for food delivery in Italy, Just Eat. I can't even remember the name of all of them. Just Eat, Deliveroo, Uber Eat. There are so much of them. Here in Latvia, there is even different is Volt.
Yeah, it's actually true. I worked for Just Straight for 3 years and it has been very difficult for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I recently read an article that used an interesting word pun, slavery, mixing the word Deliveroo and slave. A lot of people in different countries are protesting for the legislation and law around these food delivery companies. I would like to ask you why you have decided to work as a rider and you didn't decide a more traditional job.
I think mainly because I need money. I have to study and I have to pay the rent of the house. In Italy, as you know, in this particular period, it's very difficult to find a job. And the only possible job is that I have some friends that has done the same thing. And it's also pretty easy to start. You need just a bicycle, a phone, and that's all.
Yeah, I think the majority of the people that choose to work for this company is the same. I was very curious about it, and to answer to this question, I have decided to do an experiment. Here in Latvia, I'm using a lot Bolt, an application similar to Uber to order a cheap taxi in few minutes. I start asking to different driver why they decided to do that job. Basically, they decided to do it because they can't find better job and they need money. Uber or Bolt are company that give them a job and the only requirement are car license, a car and a phone.
Yeah, most of people start thinking that it will remain a temporary work for a short period of time. It's fast to start and you don't need particular skill.
Yeah, I agree. That's another reason. Because you don't need a school certification, a bachelor, you don't need particular skill to apply for that kind of job.
Yeah, I mean, just ride a bike.
Yeah, it's quite easy. I think every one of us can do it. Actually, after the advent of the digital economy and the possibility to use only platform and application, are born different firm of the gig economy. Gig is a slang word meaning a job for a specified period of time. It is a free market system in which temporary positions are common. The gig economy is based on flexible, temporary, or freelance job, often involving connecting with clients or customers through an online platform. The big difference with the company of the classical economy is that regulation is totally new and there was the possibility for them to create new contracts. For example, you, Matteo, what were you considered as a rider for the Italian regulation?
I was considered as self-employed. This means that I have no right for break, no vacation paid, no health insurance, and even any other type of insurance. The insurance could be very important for the riders because it's quite easy to fall off from the bike. I have a lot of colleagues that had accident with other cars or fell off from the bike for the numerous holes in the streets. Every rider knows the danger of being on the road, yet they do it anyway because it's their money source. Some might even speed, although they are advised not to, just to get your food delivered on time. I can consider myself quite lucky then.
Yeah, you can say it. With this new The riders are self-employed rather than the employees with pension, holidays, sick pay, and other rights available to workers who have an employer. The General Counsel said in the memo that Uber drivers set their hours, own their cars, and they are free to work for the company's competitors, so they cannot be considered employees under federal labor law. But I read that recently in Turin some workers of these gig companies asked to be considered as employee. The court recognized to the riders the remuneration treatments as in the logistics sector. This right, as recognized by the court, will entitle them to year and additional monthly income, the so-called 13th, paid holidays, and sick leave. The same thing happened also in Spain in two courts of Valencia and Madrid. It could be the first step to make this job more acceptable. If I could ask you, Matteo, how much did you earn in a month?
Well, it depends. For example, sometimes when I was free of studies, I didn't have too much to study and I worked for 20 hours a week. And the gross wage was €5 for shipping. Most riders, more or less 90%, are paid per delivery rather than per hour, an arrangement encouraged by the company which argues it is better deal for riders. Sometimes I also get some tips. And during the time you earn ranking, and you could book your own work shifts.
It's also interesting to think about how the working hours and the working shifts are totally changed. In the past, in the classical job, in the work we decide with working decided hours. For example, all the week from 8 to 5 p.m. But now it's impossible to think the same. You could work even in the weekend and whenever you have free time. Deliveroo sees this as one of the biggest appeal. A spokesperson tells me that 90% of its rider prefers to work flexibly, therefore being self-employed. Choosing when, where, and whether to work suits to the majority of them.
Yeah, another important change is in the working place. If you think about it, in the past, you have an office where you can easily work, and now everything is changed. You can work wherever you want, you can just open the application and start receiving orders.
Yeah, sure, this could be also a good thing for different businesses that leave the possibility to work from home or wherever it's possible to have a connection to internet. Matteo, I want to say you thanks again because your job is the perfect example of an employee in the digital economy.
No problem, Filippo. I hope I helped you.
Yeah, sure. Bye, Matteo.
Bye.
Okay, the interview to Matteo has been very useful to understand more about the typical employee of the company that work in the digital economy and the differences between the employee of the company in the traditional economy. Now we could focus on the point of view of the starters of this business, from the point of view of the entrepreneurs. I want to highlight some data that could help you to understand better the environment of the digital entrepreneurship. The 47% of the world's population is connected to internet. E-commerce represented 13% of total retail sales in 2017 and 49% of the growth. The conditions are perfect, and more entrepreneurs are starting a new business in the digital economy. Accenture's research report, the promise of digital entrepreneurs creating 10 million youth jobs in the G20 countries. Okay, first of all, we have to understand who is a digital entrepreneur. Multiple people think that every entrepreneur is a digital entrepreneur, and this is becoming true in time. Entrepreneurship is associated much more with identifying problems and opportunities to implement an idea that causes positive impacts than being innovative and creating something never seen before. Let's take an example. Applications such as Uber. There is nothing innovative about taxi service, right? But if you are familiar with the subject, you know that their service is not only about getting people into a car to somewhere, it's about offering a more accessible, more practical, and easier service. The second guest of the episode of today is Luca, a guy who have decided to create a business online, mixing his big passion to the world of art and a business that could be profitable. Let me introduce him. Hi, Luca.
Hi, Filippo.
You are the second guest of the episode of today. Present yourself to the people that are listening.
Yeah, sure. My name is Luca Stengrimsen, and I am an engineering student.
Luca, I know that you have recently opened an e-commerce for your paintings. When and how the idea of starting a new business came in your mind?
It has always been there because I've always been painting, and everybody has always been told me that I should have sold the paints. So I've always been painting and selling them. So it was always been a bit easier. But with social media and internet, everything became easier.
Okay, Luca, I think that start a business in the digital economy from a side is easier and more immediate. But in the other side of the coin is that if the business doesn't work, there are no physical asset to sell to recoup some of the money. Have you ever think about that? It represents a fear for you?
I agree with you. Yeah, I've considered it when I started my business. But for example, in my case, the initial cost, it's not a big amount. The cost of the website and the cost of the canvas, paintbrush and paint. But for the painting gear, I use a crowdfunding platform.
Wow, that's interesting. Talk me a little bit more about crowdfunding.
Okay, crowdfunding is similar to selling on Instagram and other social media. Is the difference is that you target people that are really interested in what you're doing. So the people go on crowdfunding website and look where they can put their money for to help young artists or new startups and to buy their products. And this is very helpful, especially for small businesses and small startups, because let you get in touch with a lot of people and a lot of people which are interested in what you are doing.
Whichever industry you work in or whatever interest you will almost certainly have come across a story about how data is changing the face of our world. It might be a part of study helping to cure a disease, boost a company revenue, make a building more efficient, or responsible for those targeted ads you keep seeing. It's scary to know how many personal data the big companies have. About this, have you ever seen the Netflix Big Hack? It's a movie.
Yeah, I saw it. It was very interesting documentary.
Yeah, I agree with you, Luca.
Personally, at the moment, I'm tempted to delete Facebook, to be honest.
Yeah, for me it was the same, but it's another story. So, my question to you is, also for a little business like your, the data are so important?
Yeah, sure. For me, are important because I need to know what are the tastes of my customers. So how can I target them and which is the most efficient platform to be in.
Okay, I think that one of the biggest benefit that this new company working in the digital economy is that they are fighting the black economy, because online with an e-commerce, all the transactions are usually cashless. Luca, what do you think is the biggest advantage of having a digital store than having a physical store?
First of all, you are open to all the world. So you don't have any kind of barrier that could potentially offer your product all over the world. You can have new customer from China, from USA, and secondly, you have lower cost. You don't have to pay the rent for a physical store, and you don't have any kind of electric bill, stuff like that. And finally, you can sell your product at all the day and all the night. There is no holiday or closing time. Your business can operate in any moment. One big problem for me is that the client usually want to see the painting in their hand. So not just online. So it's in this way it could be easier to have a physical shop.
Yeah, sure. I think that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and we are moving in a future where the majority of the shop will be online. Thank you, Luca, for sharing us your work experience. It has been very useful.
No problem, Filippo. It has been a pleasure.
Bye, Luca.
Bye.
In my opinion, the episode of today has been very interesting because we have listened to different stories of people who are in direct contact with the digital economy and how all these changes are completely revolutionizing the labor market. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to join us the next week for another episode.